Greetings from your queen of Ooga Booga, that is. Hi everybody, I'm Sally Diane, and we're here for another week in Donald Trump. I wanted to get into some of the cards that seem to show up a lot around readings about Donald Trump, not only on my channel, but on the other readers' YouTube channel. Yes, we watch each other. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about that and what that could mean. For example, consistently, Donald Trump shows up as two cards, both in reverse. Quite frequently, he shows up as either the King of Swords reversed or as the Emperor reversed. So, the King of Swords, when he's upright, he's sort of a prickly person, but he's a very honest person. You turn it upside down, and he's a pathological liar, which does match Donald Trump. So he shows up as the King of Swords. The King of Swords, in a bad aspect, when he's reversed like this, he can also have a pretty nasty temper on him. And we all know that Donald Trump has pretty nasty temper. The other card that shows up a lot for him is the Emperor, and is almost always in reverse. And I've heard a number of readers refer to this as the failed leader, and I would have to agree. The Emperor, when he's in upright, is a strong authoritarian leader. He's a serious person. He's a down-to-earth person. He's somebody who holds the interests of those around him above his own. You can tell because he's on the stone throne, but it's very Spartan. But you reverse it, and suddenly the stone throne becomes gilded, as Mr. Trump's surroundings tend to be when he gets to choose them. And also, instead of being just somebody who lives by the law and enforces the law, he becomes somebody who sees himself as above the law. So that's what you get with the Emperor in a bad aspect, a very, very selfish, authoritarian leader, which Trump is. So these two cards, you see them over and over and over again in Donald Trump's spread. I've also noticed that the cards that represent Joe Biden shows up as two things. He shows up as the Knight of Cups, and the Knight of Cups is sort of a Prince Lancelot sort of figure. He's somebody who's pure of heart, who brings forth a message of hope and optimism, and I would have to say that's very right on about him. And he shows up as the Knight of Cups over and over again, usually well aspected, occasionally reversed. Then also, he shows up as the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is a religious leader. He's a moral leader. And I would say that both apply to Mr. Biden, Vice President Biden. Usually I've noticed in readings, this card shows up with Joe Biden as he is now. Joe Biden, private citizen basically. And then when it talks about Joe Biden after the election, that's when he shows up as Joe Biden, the moral leader. Also, another character that shows up frequently in Trump's readings is Kamala Harris. And Kamala Harris usually shows up as the Queen of Pentacles. And the Queen of Pentacles is a very down-to-earth, loving, giving, caring woman. And she's also practical. And all these things apply to Kamala Harris. I also noticed that she has a before and after the election card. After the election, she usually shows up as the Empress. And the Empress she's not just royal, she's a symbol of fertility. She's the mother of all. And if any of you know the people around her, the kids, her stepkids gave her the nickname Mamala. And she's going to be our Mamala for sure. Then some of the other cards I know show up around him with Donald Trump's readings. What shows up as far as the baseline for him, quite frequently the devil shows up. And I don't think the devil needs much explanation, but I'll give it to you anyway. The devil is a manipulator. He, again, is a liar. He's the champion liar. And he draws other people into his web. And then as he draws other people into his web, he mutilates them and turns them into things that they wouldn't ordinarily become, like liars and thieves and cheaters. This is very accurate as far as I'm concerned. And another card that shows up next to him, and usually reversed, is the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands, even in a good aspect, shows a defensiveness. But at least it implies that a battle was won. Here you have it reversed. That's a losing battle, but that's somebody who will stand on the battleground of a losing battle. And that again, pretty accurate. So these show up over and over again for him. Some other cards that show up for him as far as the general mood of his campaign, there are cards of rather nasty competition. You have the Seven of Swords shows up a lot, and the Seven of Swords is is a card of a gossip and a thief of something taken illegally or immorally. Another card that shows up for him a lot is the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords is about, it's about cruelty. It's about taunting. And to go with that, you have the Five of Wands. And Five of Wands is a card of competition. And usually it's an equal competition. But in Trump's readings, it usually shows up reversed, which means that it's an unfair competition. And Donald Trump certainly does try to stack the deck for himself as much as he can. Another card that I noticed show up, and this is almost always reversed, is the Seven of Pentacles. And the Seven of Pentacles is about waiting for your reward. It's about waiting for the seeds you've sown to come to ripen and come to harvest. So it's about waiting for money, basically. And his shows up upside down. This talks about a failed harvest, a futile waste. A lot of times when I see the pentacles reversed, I see money just flowing out. And particularly with this card, because I've also noticed that when this card shows up in one of Trump's readings, it also shows up around other reversed pentacles, usually the Six of Pentacles or the Ten of Pentacles. And again, that concept of money just pouring out. And finally, in the areas of the final outcome, first off, I see the Chariot, and often ill aspected. And the Chariot, it's not just a card of moving forward and moving on. And a lot of times, sometimes when it shows up upright like this, it talks about the country moving forward and moving on beyond the election. But then you have it reversed. And there's another aspect of the Chariot that talks about getting a grip on your emotions, being in control of yourself. And here it's reversed, so it means not being in control of your emotions. And I have got to say, when Donald Trump loses the election, you'll definitely get this. You will see the biggest temper tantrum ever. Another couple of cards that show up for him as far as the final outcome, you have the Tower. And the Tower is about destruction, but destruction that brings creation in its wake. When you think about the imagery here is the Tower of Babylon, and when you think about the people of Babel, they spent so many generations building this silly tower, and really the best thing that God could do for them is blast it to the ground. And I would say with the Trump administration, we have a tower situation where the very best and kindest thing anyone could do for the United States is to blast it to the ground. And I don't mean that literally, folks. I do not endorse violence. Finally, the other card that shows up a lot for him in the outcome is a Ten of Wands, again, reversed. Now, upright, the Ten of Wands is a card about carrying a heavy load. It's about having a lot of responsibilities. When it's reversed like this, it's abdication of responsibilities. It's like he's supposed to carry all these wands and he just dumps them all. So what this tells me is that first off, it convinces me that Donald Trump will be a failed leader. There is enough people that are wise to his lies and his con games that Kamala Harris will become the next vice president and after that next president. So she will be the empress. Joe Biden is the one who brings the message of hope, and it will be the country's moral compass. They call him Uncle Joe, and I do believe that he's going to just turn into good old dad, right? Also, in the Trump campaign, there's not just a lot of lies, there's a lot of viciousness, there's a lot of cruelty. There are a lot of people doing mean things that they wouldn't ordinarily do. There's also an absolute hemorrhaging of funds. When this is all said and done and they look at the mess that Donald Trump has left behind, he's going to leave enough debts to bankrupt three big banks. Then the final outcome tells me that the country will move on and we will get control of the unrest that's going on right now. But Donald Trump himself is going to throw a temper tantrum that will last the rest of his life. He will spend every minute of every day, right up until his final breath, complaining about how he was treated poorly. This particular one right here, the abdication of responsibilities card, just confirms for me, especially how many times I see it showing up in other readers' spreads for Donald Trump. This convinces me what I've already picked up on is that he will walk away from the last little bit of his presidency. Once it reaches the point where he knows he's not going to get a second term, he's going to pick up his ball and go home. And he's going to leave the country holding the bag. He'll fight a little and then he will quit. So I hope you found that interesting. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate all of you. If you haven't watched us before, please remember to like and subscribe. Tell your friends about us. And every Sunday at 9 o'clock, tune in for Psychic Sundays Live with your Queen of Ooga Booga and her producer. It's an hour of questions and stories and predictions for the week to come. See you there, and thank you so much for tuning in.